Alright, hello there. Welcome to another Starfield video. It's one of those videos where Crimson's going to have a bit of a rant. So recently we're going to be talking, I say recently, I suppose I'll get to it first. So in this video, like all videos when I talk about paid mods, I feel like with paid mods there is a level of kind of expectance with them because you're giving a creator money, and in return you're expecting a product that kind of hits a specific standard. And because paid mods are basically because Bethesda have some sway in paid mods, I would like to think that paid mods are supposed to live up to a specific standard that Bethesda would be proud to kind of call their own. Now that obviously is debatable when it comes to stuff, we could argue the semantics of it. But I've noticed these mods by the author Aidan Watts 3D. Now look, first and foremost, I have nothing against the creator. I always say this when it comes to these kind of paid mods. Like, this is more so me just kind of highlighting where I feel like some mods, specifically paid mods, are kind of expecting too much or going a bit too far. So the mod author has made 5 mods, 4 of which are these weapon mods, and then they made a player home store. Now, first and foremost, we're gonna be focusing on these weapon mods. I'm gonna grab one to review just to kind of highlight. But I will say straight off the bat, the player home store for 500 credits is a bit, to be honest, it's a bit I don't want to say scummy necessarily, but it's labeled as a player home store, introducing the player home store. Now, it's supposed to be lightly inspired by Mick and Ralph's, right? But when you have player home store listed in the title, you would assume that you will be able to actually use it as a store, like sell stuff. You cannot do that with this. So I feel like straight off the bat, like, we've got an issue where like a mod author is either unintentionally or intentionally being deceptive. I don't think Aidan is being deceptive, but at the same time, just looking at it, it's clearly interesting. Like, obviously we're not looking at this in today's video because I would argue, just looking at the pictures, it's not necessarily a bad idea. Like, 500 is a bit pricey, in my opinion, for like an empty house mod. But yeah, what we're looking at is we're going to be looking at these mods. These are the weapon mods. Now, if you look at them, to be honest, they leave a lot to be desired. They look very much like someone's first attempt at 3D modeling. Like, if we click on the cutlass, you look at it here and it's like all one kind of color. There's no kind of edge highlighting. There's no sort of really anything. The textures are quite low. As you can see, even in game, they look a bit, same with kind of the tactical blade. It looks just very, these just kind of, to me, these scream like first time, 3D modeler, which if you would have made these as free mods, this video wouldn't have existed because it's a free mod. This is not a free mod. You're charging the equivalent of €2 for a weapon that looks, yeah. Now, not to mention, this is kind of, if we look at them, so like I'm gonna buy the medieval sword, because I don't, and which one we'll buy? Yeah, we'll just buy the medieval sword. I don't want to spend too much money on these. Probably looks the nicest, but see, here's the issue, right? So I'm going to make an assumption here. So these all they don't look bad, but they're very plain. And when you actually look at how they're made, so how you obtain it, it's not put into the world, into the vendor list or the loot list, right? Which makes me believe that the mod author is not aware of how to do that, okay? It also doesn't have a kind of a level up system where you can kind of have your, like, following the base versions of the game. You've got, there's basic, what is it? There's like advanced, modified, superior, those sort of ones. It also doesn't do that. Instead, you have to research specific perks or specific projects to unlock variants, and then you craft them, right? That again just tells me that this is a mod author who only knows how to 3D model. Now I'm going to be completely honest here. I don't really know too much about like 3D modeling or modding in general, but just going by the fact that the mod author has not added them to the loot pool or the vendor list, or basically made it so that you can, you can find them in locations, I'm going to assume that these were probably, best case scenario, they are a 3D modeler who wanted to make a quick buck. Worst case scenario, these were purchased or given for free. Like if I actually, let me just double check. I'm going to really quickly check something. 1 second. All right, so I did a little bit of digging just because there's been a bit of an uptick of like kind of weapon mods where they just kind of pull like free 3D assets and make a paid mod out of them. Now, while looking, I couldn't really find them, but there is quite a lot. But I will say there was actually some far nicer ones that were free, that if so that makes me think that maybe the mod author did actually create these, which if they did, and again, I'm kind of looking at this from the point of view of somebody who is trying to, I want to see paid mods to get to a better standard. And yeah, again, no hate towards Aiden specifically. What we're going to do now is we're going to grab the medieval sword and we're going to go in and we're going to look at it in game and kind of see how it compares to some of the melee weapons. We're on Xbox currently. It's 200 credits. All right, we're going to purchase. Now, like, see, here's the thing. Again, I mean no disrespect to the... I'm gonna remove that real quick. Like, no disrespect to the mod author, but just looking at the pictures, this looks like the nicest one. But you kind of have to ask yourself, right? Why? Like, you've made a little tactical blade, right, that looks like it's all made of the one texture. Every single material is made of the exact same texture. You've made a proto cutlass, which again, the exact same texture, no skins. Like, I'm not a 3D modeler, but surely it wouldn't be too hard to, at the very least, make the handles colorable and have like a different, darker material on the back side of the blade and make the actual sharp side look sharp. Same with the axe. It's very... So we've grabbed this. We're also actually, you know what we're going to do? We're also going to grab another one because I will say the... which one should we grab? Grab the machete. So... You're welcome for the 400 credits I've just sent you. So we're going to go check them out in-game, and we're going to just kind of compare them to like other melee weapons. Let's go do that. Alright, so we're in-game now, and we're going to grab the weapons. So the weapons are spawnable at the workbench. You have to make them. We got medieval sword, requires 1 iron and 1 aluminum. And proto cutlass is 1 iron and 1 aluminum. And if we upgrade them, they obviously become better, but you know, we're not really here to do like a proper review necessarily. We're here to more kind of highlight some things. So if we, let me make them real quick. Medieval sword. Like, even like the naming of it, like medieval sword. Like, if you made like a little quest mod, and like the quest mod led you to like an old cave on Earth where you like fought some like enemies, and like one of them like had this, you could kind of be like, okay, you know, fair enough. Do I have what I have in my storage box? Okay, we're gonna grab this, the barrow knife. We're gonna put away two. All right, so first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go over here and see if we can modify them. We cannot. We can modify these. All right, so let's look at them. So I'm gonna go first person here. I'm gonna go to my usual spot. Let me, we're gonna equip them. Okay, so they have symbols, which is nice, I suppose. So here is the medieval sword. Okay, so the medieval sword weirdly doesn't look that bad, I will say. I knew coming in here the medieval sword was going to probably be the nicer looking one. Now the animations are going to be just, I think these are the, is it the katana animation? This is the katana animation. The medieval sword, yeah, let's take some, let me drop it and look at it in a minute. And then we'll look at the proto cutlass. Now this, yeah, this looks questionable. It's, keep in mind I'm on Xbox, which means that the textures aren't obviously going to look as good. Again, it's just using it's using the standard what is that? I believe that's, don't know what weapon that is actually. So now if we look at, let's say for instance, the barrow. Notice how the blade is? Notice how there's like there's like different patterns on the blade. It looks like the there's what, I can't remember what it's called. It's not dimpling. Also, see how it reacts to the light? See how it's got the handle? Now, if we swap back to the proto cutlass, it does kind of react to the light, but it all reacts at once, which there's absolutely no... There's no detailing on it whatsoever. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drop these. We're going to go outside, actually, when it's warm. That matters. And see, look, here's the thing. Like I said, if these were free mods, I wouldn't care because they're free mods. But they're paid mods. They're €2 each. For €2, you could get some pretty badass mods. And the thing is, people are going to buy these because a lot of people are going to like... Because realistically, right? A lot of people see paid mods as a kind of a, like, as a, like, you know, like a good thing. You know, they're like, oh yeah, it's a paid mod. That's really cool. All this stuff. Like, people are gonna buy it. I will say the medieval sword doesn't look too bad. I actually use my... Oh, that's not that button. I wish I was on PC right now. So like if we really quickly, let me remove my shadow. No, remove my shadow. Perfect. Like if we take a look at the weapons themselves again, we zoom in, enhance. So you can just see the base weapon. I zoom in, you can see the different textures. Like this probably took a fair bit to do. And then we look at the melee sword. And again, it's not bad, but it's basically two materials. You've got metal. Actually, that edge looks a bit... Oh god, that edge. What the fuck? So here's the edge on the sword, or the base weapon. Look at the cut of it, the knife. It looks sharp. What is that? What the fuck is that? Not to mention, like I was saying, it's two like, whoops, it's two materials. So we've got the metal, right, and we've got the like leather. Now they could have went with a different color for the hilt and the pommel. They didn't. They did like some kind of weathering on the thing, but I don't... To be honest, it looks... I don't know, it just looks very weird. It looks like they just kind of stretched a leather style texture on it. Again, like... How is the blade, like, not pointy? What the hell? And then we have the machete, which... This is kind of the biggest offender. Like, this looks like... Minecraft swords have more texturing to them. You know, it's just, yeah. And I know you're probably thinking, Crimson, you're really kind of nipping at straws. What's that word? But if they were incorporated into the loot pool and they had actual modifications and maybe some skins, maybe for 200, maybe, but they don't. It's just somebody who 3D modeled some stuff, threw it into the game without even really thinking. Like, The proto machete. Why would we want a proto machete when we already have like the gladius? Like, plus, if you're gonna do like a machete, why wouldn't you do like an iconic machete, like, you know, like a proper like machete? That was, I apologize to all the Hispanic people out there. Same with like the medieval sword. I can kind of get behind, but it's like, why would you just standard medieval sword? To be honest with you, why wouldn't you? Also, that tip really bothers me. Why wouldn't you model it based on like the steel sword from Skyrim? Like, it just, yeah. And it's like, this is my big thing, because look, yeah, I'm very passionate about the franchises. I like enjoy like Elder Scrolls, Fallout, Skyrim, Halo, Mass Effect, stuff like that. And you may be thinking, Crimson, you're being very gatekeepy, and you're damn right I fucking am. Because this is like a travesty. You got a nice little blade there. What is this? Not one fucking color. But it's just, yeah, it's... I just kind of, again, I would expect Bethesda to have kind of at least stepped in and been like, look, if you're not going to implement it into the, like, into the loot pool, and like the vendor pool and stuff, and have actual customizations, it's not a paid mod. Like, that should be, like, at the very least, that should be what it is. Like, we see that with a lot of paid mods where they're just kind of like in one location, or with free mods, sorry, where they're just like in one location, they're on the loot pool, which is fine, free mod. This isn't a free mod, this is a paid mod. And it's, yeah, it's just not good. And like I said, like, no hate towards the mod author specifically, because they're just, even like the lighting on it is just so... Light doesn't reflect like that. Like, look at the barrel. See how the light, like, reflects? See the reflection on it? See, like, you can see the reflection on, like, the metal? See how it reflects on part of the metal, on the gold kind of metal on the hilt? That's how reflection should work. Reflection, like, light isn't flat. So the fact that it just kind of, you can see there, it just kind of shines, it just, yeah. Even, like, the shadowing on it, and, yeah. I just, yeah, like, I just wish Bethesda would put more emphasis on paid mods and, like, be like, look, it has to adhere to a certain standard. If it's a weapon mod, it has to be on the same par as the vanilla weapons. If it's an armor mod, it has to be on the same par as armor mods. Like, even saying things like I'm going to be honest, again, I'm probably not going to make many friends by saying this. There has been an influx of people who have been just getting some free 3D models and just slapping them in the game, bare minimum, no loot order, no nothing, and making money off them. And I personally don't think that's fair, and I don't think that should be allowed. I feel like for you to come in here, you should have to custom make them yourself if that's your preferred field. Like, if you come in here and you say, look, I'm a 3D modeler, I make guns, or I make weapons, and you don't actually make your weapons, you get someone else to make them for you, that's a bit like... Now, saying that, if you're like a quest maker, right, and you make a quest, and you want to hire someone to make a weapon for your quest, that's obviously a completely different story. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. I don't know, it's just, yeah. Like, I love Starfield, and like, I like being kind of all, you know, I always try to be like that positive person. But when I see stuff like this, it's very egregious, and I'm just like, what the fuck? Now, thankfully, my game hasn't broke or crashed on Xbox. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. As always, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think. Like, are you okay with this? Are you... And that's the thing, is like, ultimately, this is just my opinion, you know? Like, regardless of, like, whether I create content or not, like, I'm just one person, you know? We as humans, we can agree and disagree on things. If you guys are fine with that, let me know. You know, I would say... It's not... Don't abuse me in the... Oh, I think one of my favorite comments from I think I did when I did the video on the revolver being broken. Somebody, and you know who you are, they were like, alright, Crimson Crybaby, and that was fucking hilarious. Thank you for that. My friends IRL have been kind of memeing it and calling me that. But yeah. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and catch you in the next one. Bye.